Hey Nicole, Happy New Year. How you doing?
The energy has been nuts. Nuts.
Yes.
Nuts.
Yes, it absolutely has been. And that's I told you when I forgot to send the email and I sent it late last night. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm still going to be on tomorrow and I was really giving a lot of thought to what the topic would be today. And I realized, you know what? I need to talk about the current energies because they're all over the map.
Mm-hmm.
And it's bringing a lot of, I want to say, unexpected emotions and unexpected reactions to things, responses to things. And I
Yeah.
thought, okay, maybe that's why nothing is coming through in terms of a specific, you know, programmed, way of talking through things, which I usually always have, a specific plan, and I don't today. And so what we're going to be talking about is exactly that, the current energies, how we're all dealing with it, what this means when we're talking about transforming unapologetically. Um, and I'm going to just keep it real as I always do with you guys. I'm going to talk from my own experience, and maybe you'll be able to relate to it. Maybe you'll find it of interest. Maybe you'll be like, she's off her freaking rocker. Take what works for you, leave the rest behind. But here's the thing. Happy New Year, happy 2026. I could not kick 2025 out the door fast enough. I was so glad to close that door. But here we are in 2026. And, I've been saying this since COVID times. Every year has been its own particular brand of shit show. And 2026 is no different. And we kind of started it off with, a bang collectively. There's a lot of things that are going on. And quite frankly, all of us, I believe, I don't think I'm overstepping here. Maybe I should say all, but most people I feel are really just tired and exhausted and numb and maybe even a little shell shocked. I described 2025 as being my year of whiplash. I just felt like 2025 was all whiplash. Everything about it is whiplash. 2026, according to all of the astrologers, is supposed to be this, incredible year for advancement and ignition of our dreams, goals, and desires, starting the new. And I'm going to be honest with you, I have been feeling that energy. I've been feeling it since November of 2025. I know that this is a year where things are really going to shift and change, not only on an energetic level, for me on an individual level, also for the collective. We've just been through kind of a tower moment. I feel like we're still a little bit in the tower and we're waiting for the, sort of for the earthquake to stop shaking before we can determine, where to go next and, how to kind of move forward. But I'm going to be honest with you guys. As much as I feel this excitement and this energy, and, I'm hearing a lot of people talking about their creative bursts and all of the things that they want to be doing and getting involved in, I'm still feeling the exhaustion. I'm still feeling the stop the world. I want to get off. This holiday season was the first time in many, many years. I mean, and since I can remember, definitely prior to my divorce, which was in 2018, where I used to actually be able to take a week off and not have to worry about it. I took 4 days off for the holiday, and my whole purpose in taking that time off was because I have been recognizing I've been hermiting for about since July. I've been in major hermit mode, going out only when I absolutely need to, doing the bare minimum of socialization, and I'm not depressed. I'm exhausted. I'm just wanting to cocoon myself. I'm wanting to store up enough energy so that I can realize all of these wonderful inspirations and these beautiful creative visions that I have been having, the things that I want to put out there and offer to everybody. And I just don't have the energy. So I took that 4 days off. I spent the entire time in my jammies, hanging out with the fur babies, doing my tarot journaling, really getting, doing that deep dive into the who am I right now? Who do I want to become? What are the things that I want to put out there as my living legacy? What kind of legacy do I want to leave behind? And what can I contribute to this huge, shift and change that we are going through? And it felt so good. to have 4 days to not really have to, have any responsibility of any kind to anyone other than myself. And of course, the fur babies, that's always the case. But they're all about the unconditional love. There's nothing bad there. It's not a chore. And what I'm finding is I had that 4 days. I totally took advantage of it. And I come out the other side and I'm still exhausted. I'm still feeling the desire, the true desire to get creative and to get producing. And again, hearing all of these astrologers saying, this week is like a really important week to launch your things and to, get clear on the things that you want and, have your list. And I look at them and I'm like, I feel a little guilty. I feel a little bit like maybe I'm behind the eight ball, or what is it that I'm missing that everybody else is seeing? Oh, I got the panic, the FOMO. I'm going to miss out on this opportunity to really launch all of these things. And, as always, I get into these modes and I think, what's wrong with me? And then I have to stop and say, no, I don't think it's what's wrong with me. I think it's that we have, we're all on our own journey, right? We all are responding or reacting to the energies in very different ways. We all have our own, perspective on things. And even though I want to be super creative, and it's in the past, I have been super creative and, like pushing myself, and feeling that incredible flow, when you are on an energetic kick like that, when you're in the middle of creating something, you're downloading something, you're channeling something that is going to be just incredible, and you're excited to get it out into the world, and it's coming through you, and you're feeling all the things and the stuff. I've been there so many times. I love it. I crave being in those spaces. And yet it's just not where I'm at right now. And I need to not beat myself up over it. And I realize that if I'm feeling it, chances are a lot of people are feeling it. So this was something that I wanted to come on and talk about today on Phoenix Revolution is, we are transforming unapologetically. And so I'm going to just keep it real. Maybe you are the lucky person who is feeling all the energy and finding the flow, and you're just on fire with your creativity. And you know what I say to you? I am so freaking happy for you. I got the pom poms out. I support you. I empower you. I think this is amazing. You go. I'm envious too, because I'm like, I have that desire. I want to do all of those things. I have all the things in place to be doing those things. And yet I'm exhausted. And so I imagine that a lot of you are too. So let's talk about that. Yes, when the astrologers, when the readers, when the energy and your friends and your family and your kids are all energized and running around like those little energizer bunnies and sharing their ideas and talking a mile a minute about all the things that they're putting out in the world. And you're sitting there going, what's wrong with me? Because I want to do all those things too. And yet the only energy that I've got is for sleeping or for Netflixing or for, sitting and doing nothing and sitting in the quiet. Understand that this is part of the creative process as well. And this is something that we don't always understand when we are in a transformative space. We need as much ebb as we need flow. And if you're listening to this and you're relating to what it is that I'm saying, chances are, I'm going to say 99.999999999% chance that you are an empath, and very likely, classify yourself as a, light worker of some kind, or connecting to energy and, really living your energy out into the world. And I'm going to say, we are exhausted because we have been for the last year, regardless of where you're at in the world, what you're doing as an empath and as a light worker, you're absorbing so much of the energy that is around you through other people, through the things that you're ingesting, in terms of, food, energies that you're ingesting, absolutely. But also like media, content, what is it that you're watching? What are you, filling your energetic field with? People that you're having conversations with. Are you spending a lot of time with people who energize you or people who drain you? What are the obligations in your life and how much energy are you putting into those obligations? You have the regular life, which is hard enough sometimes, and then you add all of the chaos. And right now we are in a time of chaos. There's nobody that is immune to, what it is that we're all experiencing. You may experience it in at different levels, layers and levels, but you are experiencing it because we are all one. We are all sharing this planet together and we feel it. Ripple effect. So if you're like me and you're like, yeah, I want to go, go, go. And at the same time, why am I struggling to get out of bed and just get the regular things done that I want to get done? You're not alone. This is exactly how I'm feeling. And if you have the FOMO like me, like I'm, following these astrologers that I love and it's tried and true and I know that what they're saying is tested and it resonates with me and all the rest of it. And then I just feel such horrific guilt because I can't seem to get up for the game. I can't seem to push myself. That's the big red flag because I am the A type. I am the go-getter. I am the one that's going to push myself past the brink, even when it's not right. And I'm going to say to you, 2025 changed that for me. I no longer have that. I still have FOMO. I'm still, the war is in my mind. I'm going to tell you that the war is in my mind rather than, sort of like in my body, in my mind. And then I just push through and I pretend like it doesn't exist and I deal with the fallout later. I'm now in a space where I'm recognizing that I'm just choosing to not do that. I'm choosing instead to honor my body. And I think if I could take a gift or a silver lining from anything from my own personal experience in 2025, the gift is in me recognizing that I don't want to push myself, that this is important for me to acknowledge that this is a pretty severe level of exhaustion if it has shut me down for a 6 month period of time. Never, peeps, never in my life have I been this hermity. And I'm going to say to you again, it's not depression. I'm not depressed. I have feelings about what it is that I'm seeing, feeling, and witnessing out in the world. I'm not happy about those things. It's hard on my spirit, it's hard on my heart, but I'm not depressed. I'm happy with my life. I'm in my happy place. I made a big change. As you guys know, you've been following me. I made a big change and moved to my happy place and so grateful that I'm here now and loving it. And at the same time recognizing, isn't this interesting? Move to this new place. I know what I'm usually like when I move to a new place. I pull that the necessary extroversion that I do have okay on occasion that I can access in my body. I'm very introverted, but I know how to socialize. I know how to have fun. I know how to talk to people and make new friends and, get out into the world and be seen. I'm pretty good at it. And the penny dropping for me is in understanding that, yeah, starting in July, the hermit just kind of moved in and has not moved out yet. And it's not for any other reason than that's how exhausted I am. And I don't know how many days or months of sleep and lack of connection or communicate or a lot of connection or communication it's going to take for me to start to feel leveled off, for me to start to really connect to the new version of me, the new levels of me and my energy. I do know that I will get there. What goes up must come down and vice versa. But it really strikes me as pretty profound that if this is the level of exhaustion I'm at, how much I have been pushing through and just to try and get the day-to-day things done. So what does this mean for me here in 2026? Well, it's the beginning of 2026, so who knows, right? I mean, the sky's the limit, anything goes. But what I'm feeling here is that I do know that I will eventually move out of this. In fact, I've already been feeling some inklings, not urgings to go out and, get back on the horse and, do all the things and the stuff that I normally do. But I'm feeling the inklings of it. So I know, and I've been around this block a few times before. It is cyclic. What still blows my mind is from a psychological perspective, an emotional perspective, an energetic perspective. Even with all of the tools that I have and the tools that I was practicing, I'm still in this state. It means that I've absorbed a lot. So 4 days just wasn't enough, right? I don't know that 4 weeks would have been enough, quite frankly. I don't know how much time it's going to take, but I do know that the focus for me right now is on speaking my affirmations to myself, doing my tarot journaling and my routines, showing up and being present with clients, showing up and being present with my producer, showing up and being present with my friends, even if it's just in a text conversation. I am the queen of multitasking. I'm the person that watches TV, watches YouTube at the same time, and is probably typing out some kind of, work letter or work newsletter or doing, something alongside, whatever chaos is going on in the house with the fur babies. This year already, I've recognized the value of sitting in silence and sitting in stillness. And I think this is something important for us to talk about, especially as we are going into this new year where AI technology is going to expand in ways that we can't even fathom yet. By the end of this year, our world is going to look very different in that regard. And I know AI is a sensitive subject. There are a lot of people who are anti it, there are a lot of people who are for it, and a lot of people in between. I happen to be a person that believes in moderation in everything. It is here. It's a technology. It's here to stay. How we choose to train it is going to really indicate, and how we choose to respect it is going to indicate how it respects us and works with us. So that's kind of my take on it. But it's inevitable. It's here and it's here to stay. So we have the choice to work with it in a way that we feel comfortable with, or we can bury our heads in the sand, but eventually you're going to have to face it. So, with this age of AI coming in and all of the barrage of different energies that are coming at us constantly, and I'm not saying that figuratively, I'm saying that literally. I'm here in the US, and you know, the US, it's like every 5 minutes there are three new things that are happening. And if you're locked into that at all, it's very exhausting to try and keep up. There's no keeping up, right? So we're being barraged by all sorts of things, and that's external stuff, and not to mention whatever's going on in our internal lives, right? In our own individual lives. So stillness and silence is something that I feel that might be a good challenge for all of us to take on. Maybe you make it a challenge for the next 2 weeks till the end of January. We're recording this in January. If you're listening to this at any other time, choose, starting today, the next 2 weeks, and set aside 20 minutes every day just to sit in silence. It's not so much about meditation this year as much as it is about coming back to center, coming back to your core, your soul essence. Where is your soul essence in your body, first of all? For most of us, it's in the abdominal cavity. For most of us, it's in the solar plexus, or maybe even some of you might feel it in the sacral. But we're all different. We're all as unique as the proverbial snowflake. So, for you, your center might be your heart. Your center might be in your feet. Your center might be a place that you go in your mind. Wherever it is, you want to find it and you want to reconnect with it this year. And you want to make it a consistent the universe always gives me little challenges. My angels and guides are always, throwing out, do this for the next 7 days, try this for, the next 21 days, try this for a month. Um, Challenge yourself. What's been really interesting is I wasn't always, well, that's not true. I have always actually been a multitasker. I just shifted it, right? Like as a student, I was a very much a multitasker because I was just kind of the world I was raised in. Let's just go with that. We don't need to go into a big story about that. But recognizing now that the multitasking actually can be a hindrance is becoming so prevalent to me just in these last few days. I mean, this is day 12 of January. Just in these 12 days, I have given myself permission to sit in silence for 5 or 10 minutes. And it's fascinating to me. I've always been a meditator. At least, for a really long time, I've been a meditator, working on meditation. I'm going to be honest with you, for the last 2 to 3 years, I have not been able to meditate in the ways that I used to before. I've not found any kind of guided meditation that has worked. I've done a lot of different energetic healing modalities that have always worked for me in the past to get me into a Zen zone. They're not working. The thing that does get me still is Tibetan singing bowls have always, listening to that for 5 minutes, it does shift and change me. It's not for everybody. Some people can't stand Tibetan singing bowls and they love the crystal bowls. Some people it's tuning forks. Some people it's chimes or the hand pan or whatever it is. Um, whatever it is for you, hats off. Do what you need to do for you. But what I have been noticing in the last 12 days is because I can't find anything that gets me into that Zen zone, I get frustrated and then I just sit in silence. And I recognize how far from myself I have gotten. And when I have recognized that it's the silence that has brought me back into my body, brought me back to that core essence of me, my mind is blown again. The last couple of years, I've been so focused on seeking outside of myself the next thing that's going to help me to get to the next goal, the next, the next, the next. That's the A type in me. Going for the next goal, the next dream, the next this, the next that. I always need to be in motion. No, I don't. And I want to say prior to 2025, I could do that. I could get away with driving myself, with having the next goal and having the energy to do multiple things at the same time. I'm not saying that I've changed for good or changed forever. I mean, that's not the nature of life. Change is that's the only constant in life. So, when you just get comfortable with something, guaranteed you're going to get, some kind of urge to shift it up because that is actually the true essence of life. But right now, the change for me is in recognizing that I don't need to multitask. I don't need to be doing 57,000 things at once. And I don't need a new fandangled method of meditation. I just need to get quiet with no other intention other than to sit in silence for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, half hour, maybe a day of silence. I'm not there yet, not going to lie. And silence means just sitting and being aware of your energy, being aware of the sounds in your room. Another term is people call it mindfulness meditation, just being aware of what you're seeing, feeling, hearing in your environment and not placing judgment on it, not, grabbing hold of it or attaching anything, any meaning, anything to it at all. But again, I hesitate to use the meditation piece because, again, meditation is something that we get caught up in doing. I got to do meditation. I got to do a meditation. I got to do it right. That's not been working for me. But silence has been huge. I'd forgotten what my own frequency sounded like. And it's because I've been so hyper focused on all the external. So here are some thoughts. 2026 is a year where we are going to be externalizing a lot of the things that we have been doing the work internally to root in, to formulate, to lay the groundwork for in the last 2 years. I hesitate to say the last year because again, 2025, I feel shell shock, I feel whiplash. I feel like a lot of us have just really been in shock and kind of deer in headlights, not really sure how to cope with the energies that have been, sort of surrounding us and filling us and coming at us and all the things and the stuff. But 2024, you were doing some work. We've all been doing some work. This is the time to externalize it. And the FOMO part of me is concerned that I'm not taking advantage of all of this supposed juiced energy, juicy energy that is around us right now, astrologically, that we're supposed to be manifesting and taking advantage of. What I'm discovering for myself is a new way of being, that perhaps the integration, the externalization for me is happening in the silence. So I invite us right now, I'm just being called by my guides to take one moment and to sit in silence. I'll keep track of the time. And I want you before we take this moment, I want you to really just kind of shake the willies out, take a couple of deep breaths and blow out all the air from your lungs. And so that you can feel your body as the vessel that it is. And I don't want you thinking about the vessel that, you know, is going to hold this and be a conduit for that and blah, blah, blah. No, this is just reconnection to you, core essence. Don't judge. You may have a million and one thoughts that go through your head. It's okay. Don't judge, no expectation. Let's just sit in silence and notice what you notice. I know we're on a radio show here, so a minute of silence is going to feel weird, but just go with me on this. So let's just take a couple of deep cleansing breaths right now together. Fill it right up to the base of your lung and then blow it out. Empty the lungs right out like you're wringing it out for all it's worth. And then a nice deep cleansing breath in again. Hold it at the top. And when we blow out again, I want you to begin your moment of silence and I'll keep track of the time. Blow out. Now, slowly bring awareness to the breath, come back into the body, and just take a moment to reflect on what you noticed in that moment of silence. Were you still really engaged in all the noise and the static of the world around us? Did your body point a pain point out to you that you hadn't noticed? Was your mind racing and you couldn't get it to stop? Or maybe you noticed, oh my God, this feels so good to not have to hold everything, feeling the space that is available in this body as my vessel, in this body as my container. For me, and this isn't going to be for everybody, but for me, what has been the most powerful about this last 12 days and doing this silence practice is that it's almost instant, the connection that I feel to my frequency. I have, for a very long time, heard actually for a long time I thought it was tinnitus until I started the real spiritual awareness journey and understanding, oh, this is a spiritual thing that I'm hearing sort of ringing in my ears. It's not an obtrusive ringing. It's more of when I bring awareness to it, then I hear it. And it's a frequency. It's a frequency of the angels. It's a frequency of my guides. It's a frequency of my high self. And I've been seeking out all of these methods, all of these metaphysical tools that I have gathered over the years to try and find this again. And all it has taken me is to shut the fuck up and sit still for 5 minutes. And it doesn't even take me 5 minutes. I got it in a minute. I kept the time for us and we were in silence for a minute and about 15 seconds. And I was able to feel myself again. So, again, not to say that my experience is going to be the same as yours. Whatever you experienced in that moment of silence, I encourage you to, you know, connect with yourself, connect with your guides. If you weren't able to feel a sense of peace or hear your frequency or feel connected, I encourage you to do it for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes until you do get to that space where you are feeling the connection to your vessel again. I'm hearing that it's so important for us in this year of reinvention and rebirth to forgo all of the, okay, so it is going to be an action-based year. It's going to be a doing year, 100%. But I'm also hearing to forgo the expectation around those actions. Don't anticipate the actions. Be in the flow of your present moment right now. Start off in silence. And in the silence, allow the silence to guide those next actions. I'm really feeling that silence needs to be our mantra this year. Silence needs to be the music that we listen to. Because in that silence, it's not the noise of the world that we're connecting to, or it's the noise of the world that we're pushing out or that we're not connecting to. And what we're really connecting to is the voice of our soul. And the voice of our soul doesn't necessarily express itself in words. It expresses itself in frequency. Notice that I keep using that word frequency. This is a year, whether you're an energy person or not, I want to say to you, this is a year for you to kind of fall in love with some of these terms because everything is energy. And frequency is very attached to energy, right? Sound frequency is huge. And this is about us listening to ourselves. This is also going to be a really big year of developing a deeper trust in our inner knowing. and a deeper trust in our discernment. But we cannot be in a space of developing our discernment and our confidence in our own truth if we don't take the time to listen to ourselves. And when I say ourselves, I'm meaning, yes, listening to the higher self, the intuition, the spidey senses, all of that is true. But I'm also being told that it's actually more so about building trust within our own decision making. That's why the discernment piece is so important. What feels good to me and what doesn't feel good to me? Does this resonate with me? This choice that I'm facing, does it resonate with me? Does it not resonate with me? Keeping it very simple. I feel like the reason why a lot of us don't trust our own selves, I mean, yes, there's a lot of reasons, trauma and bad choices and all the things and the stuff. But the real reason why we don't trust ourselves is because we don't actually take the time to listen to what it is that we are saying to ourselves. And I'm not talking about the ego voice, saying all the running dialogue on all the things that you're doing wrong or all the things that you should be doing that you're not. I'm talking about the you that has come here to have this experience, to be the light that you are, to show the world around you the path that you choose to walk and why you choose to walk it. So that if there are others who resonate with that, they receive courage from your choice. And maybe they walk it with you. Maybe they are inspired and they walk their own path. So much is being lost because we aren't quiet enough to listen. I often talk about the intuition being, the quiet whisper, the subtle nudge, the gentle knowing versus the ego voice that's the squeaky wheel that gets the grease. Well, right now we've been living in a world all along, but right now we're living in a world where it is very ego based and the ego is in full force. And I want to say all of the negative characteristics that ego can create are on full display right now, and they are running the show. And it can be very easy to get lost in that voice, in that noise, in that messaging. Trust is built in the silence, in the things that aren't being said, in the frequency. And I don't mean the literal frequency of this hurts and that hurts and the other hurts. Again, that's a doing thing, that's an action thing. All of that, the structure around what I'm talking about will come to you intuitively when you take the minute or two to get silent. So don't worry about the structure. Don't worry about what is the purpose? What comes on the other side of this 2 minutes of silence or this, 20 minutes of silence or this 2 months of this, silence challenge. Don't worry about all of that. Just get silent and observe, notice without any expectation. 2026 is the year where there's going to be so much doing, so much action. But here's the thing, and this is so beautiful. It's going to be inspired action, but it's also going to be well thought out action. If you choose to get silent, because it's in the silence that you're going to learn that trust with yourself and you're going to receive the next right action for you. But if you're still caught up in the busyness, in the doing, in the distraction, in the noise, you're going to miss the moment. It's going to be, I want to say, not equal parts action and non-action. I would say it feels a little more like 1/3 to 2/3. So we're going to have 1/3 non-action to 2/3 action. And of course, that might vary with each individual. It might vary with each circumstance that you run into. But what I'm hearing our guides passing on to us is the silence piece needs to start everything. The silence piece needs to come first. And I don't know that we are there yet. But those of you who are listening to this type of content, you're here because you are seeking to find your core essence, to find the balance between who you are as a person having this human journey and who you are as the soul. And I feel like the key is in the silence. If we can take 1 minute, let me clarify that. If I can take 1 minute when I have been struggling, and you guys would laugh. You'd laugh your asses off if I told you all the different hoops that I've been jumping through. I mean, for the last couple of years, but also just in the last, I want to say, like, since October, November, September, even desperately seeking out the next modality to learn, the next way to get to that, deeper level of meditation, to feel the connection, to feel all the things that I used to get, those feelings I used to get when I meditated in those deeper ways. I've been searching for that outside of myself. And all I did was get silent for 1 minute and it came instantly. I didn't even have to work at it. And now I'm hard-headed, peeps. Like like it takes me a minute. It takes me 2 minutes. And I wouldn't say that I'm stubborn. I have stubborn moments, absolutely. But I wouldn't say I'm like a stubborn person overall. But there are times when I've been told things and I automatically assume, well, that can't work for me, or I'm not good enough for that, or that doesn't really apply to the situation that I'm in. I have been putting so much of my precious energy into seeking out the next thing that's going to give me the peace. When it's, oh my God, I swear this podcast should be about the fucking Wizard of Oz, because I always bring up the Wizard of Oz. But I'm Dorothy with the ruby slippers. I had the power all along. And I feel like that's what our guides are really wanting to convey in our show today. You have the power and you want to keep it simple. Humanity overcomplicates things. There's so much noise and static out there right now, whether it's intentional or otherwise. It's designed to keep us from connecting to this core. Because when I connect to this core part of me, nothing is wrong. Everything has a solution. There's no time. There's no pressure. There's the connection to my peace. There's that sense of floating. There's that sense of being in the void. And as a creator who has struggled with creation lately, the void is where it's at, because the void is the pure potential. And all the noise and the static and the doing, the attempting to do, the throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks, the desperation to attain something that I had years ago or that I was able to connect to years ago, I need to throw it all away. This is new. And what a beautiful realization for me that the frequency and the energies, the core essence of who I am, has integrated so much so that I just need to get silent. I don't have to I don't have to pick up a pen and paper. I don't have to turn any music on. I don't have to seek anything out. I don't even have to change up anything in my environment. I just need to sit. I don't even need to close my eyes if I don't want to. I just need to sit, get still, and shut my mouth. All right, Nicole, I hear you. You are such a trooper. I'm not even sure what time it is. Okay, so we've got like 5 minutes. Is this a
Yep,
good
you're in
time
the
right
final
now?
five.
Okay, so this is a good time for the shameless self-promotion.
Is.
So I'm going to tell you guys, I have been really thinking through and feeling into a new approach to how I show up in the world. And I don't know exactly what she's going to look like, but I do feel that she's starting to come to life. She's starting to show up. And one of the things that I have been called to do is to share my own personal tarot practice and maybe create something on YouTube where you can join me in that tarot practice. Even if you don't have your own tarot deck, but you just want, 10 or 15 minutes of just kind of a nice centering and using it through the practice of tarot, come and join me. I don't know when I'm releasing it, probably sometime before the end of this month. But again, I'm very much in the space of not having the creative energy or flow to create a ton of stuff. I'm jotting it all down because it's coming up. It's getting ready. I'm preparing for when it's ready to be released. I'm also going to be starting up a podcast that coincides with my day drinking and tarot, which is something that is so fun for me. It blends two of my passions, actually three of my passions. Day drinking or wine, I should say wine. I don't actually don't day drink often, but there we go. My show is called Day Drinking. So wine, tarot and oracle cards, and transformation, because that's what we're all about. So I'm starting up a podcast with that. You can see my episodes on YouTube. There's so much content that I'm putting on YouTube that is there for you. And I don't know what's going to stay and what's going to go. I just know that something is changing. Something has changed within me. Something is not the same. And I'm leaning into it. And I would love for you guys to come along for the ride. If you would love to explore some of these things that are going on for yourself, you can always book a session with me, theblackfeatherintuitive.com. Would love to connect with you guys. Otherwise, happy January, happy 2026. I hope this was really helpful to you guys. I hope that this resonated, or it at the very least gave you some entertaining food for thought. Sending love to all of you. And I can't wait to see you next month for our Phoenix Revolution Transform Apologetically. Love to you, Nicole. Thank you so much.
That was awesome. Every time you're on, I'm always thinking, how did she get in my head? You're saying things I've been thinking and not saying out loud. It was amazing. By the way, I think you just said
Mm.
transform apologetically.
Oh, no, unapologetically. No apologies here. No apologies. Thanks for catching me out on that.
Freudian slip.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, as always, for being here and doing what you do and bringing it to the table because it's so needed right now. Stacey is all linked up at newsforthesoul.com. And yeah, buckle up for 2026. It's going to be a ride. Thanks, Stacey.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Nicole. Take care, guys.